Well, welcome to Modeling Time with me, Brian Banna. And fresh off the heels of finishing my 3 GP35s, which you can see on my Flickr page and on my Facebook page, I'm going to jump right into the next locomotive project. Now I'm going to touch on this two subjects here real quick. I'm not going to get off track of what I'm going to do, but I just want to give an explanation of something here. Originally in my status update video I think last week, I said I was going to start on GP7s after I finish the GP35s. I still have a bit of design work to do on those, so I'm not going to jump into that right away. I want the GP7s, I really want to show really nicely. I want to do, as much as I can to them with what I have to work with. And I've gone through a few decision-making cycles on how I want them to be and stuff like that. So I'm still doing some design work on those. So that's all I'm going to say about that. That project will come soon, but I'll talk about it when the time has come. The next thing is, real quick, I'm still waiting for the paint for the weathering project. So once that paint comes in, then I can get back to working on that weathering project. I don't want to build any of my freight cars for the Copper State Railway until I get through with that weathering project and teach myself a little bit more about weathering. I've been watching a lot of videos on weathering and techniques and stuff. There's some cool stuff I want to try and just not be afraid of it, just jump right into it and enjoy it. So just waiting for the paint. That should all be in this week sometime, I think, and I can start working on it a little bit more. So enough of that, getting off track here, and let's jump into the next project that I'm going to be working on. I need to get some locomotives done for the Copper State Railway. I'm just eating at me that I have to get something done. I can't get the GP7s done right now because I said I have the design work. So I have two choices I can do. I can do an ABA set of Phase 1 F3s, or I could do 3 NW2s. Well, I chose the ABA set of Phase 1 F3s. I built one F unit my whole modeling life, and that was back, I think, in 1984, maybe 83, 84, somewhere between 83 and 85, let's say. It was a Canadian National with the white stripes down the side, the orange nose, and such. And since then, I love F units, but every time I get started on one, I just don't want to do it, and I work on something else. Well, now I want to work on them, and I've just got this vision in my mind of how they're going to look like in Copper State Railway paint and all that stuff, and all weathered up and things like that. I'll probably get the gondola project weathering done before I actually get to the weathering on paint and weathering on these, so I'll be fine with what I want to do and how I envision things. There's a weathering technique that I really want to master for these things, and I'll see if I can't get it done. It may not happen, but we'll see. But in the meantime, let me introduce to you the 3 models that I'll be working on, and what's gonna, the parts. I've got a really cool part I made for them. I already got it here. I went through a couple iterations of the design until it worked out right, and I'll show you that here real quick. Other than that, they're pretty much straight builds with the Highliner kits, and there'll be the Stewart Cotto F unit drives with the Stewart Cotto trucks, and of course, then like I showed you, the Highliner shells. You got to do Highliner shells. I mean, I could use the Stewart shells. The Stewart shells are beautiful shells, but the Highliner shells just give you that extra oomph with the modeling and fine detail and such. So let me get the camera set up, and let me introduce you to these 3 models. Okay, so here's the F units. I mean, everybody knows what a Stewart Cotto F unit looks like, but there's something on these things that the Stewart Cotto F units do not have, or any Stewart F units, or any F unit has. And I'll show you that in just a minute. But what I want you to notice here is the distance between each motor. That's roughly a scale 3 feet. That's what I was told should be between the back end of each unit. So if they're back to back like that or whatever, that should be 3 feet. that measures, with the couplers stretched, that measures 0.42. Now 3 feet, if I'm correct, is 0.413. So I'm 7 thousandths off, but there's so much play in the couplers that you know, at least the tops don't touch. So I'm not going to argue about 7 thousandths of an inch. That in 7 thousandths of an inch in 1-to-1 scale is just slightly under 5/8 of an inch. So I think it's fine. It's really close. I mean, I could play around with the part that I made and such and get it dead on, but with the amount of play that's in here, I don't think it's worth it. I think it works out just fine. What's really cool too, those are short shank couplers. Let me pull this off. The trucks aren't attached, so I have to do it by hand here. Just a second, let me turn it around and you can see them, how they couple nose to nose. So if anybody's interested in this part after I show it to you, I'll be happy to put it on my Shapeways page. So now, the nice close coupling on there, I like that a lot. That looks really, really good. And the couplers are at the appropriate height and such. So let me get the camera reset up and I'll show you what that is. All right, so this is what that is. Oh, real quick, I forgot to get these out. Let me show you this real quick. These are the stock parts that come. So this is what you get with the Stewart unit. That's the front, and then that's the rear coupler box. Okay, so that's what that is. What I did is, this is a copy of the front coupler box, draft gearbox, but I built in, this is a Details West, I guess you'd call it the coupler support pad or something like that. I incorporated that into the draft gearbox. So now, like for instance on the front, you take a short shank coupler. You have to do this after the shell is on, of course. You put that in there. And real quick, let me change my glasses to my close-up glasses. That's why I couldn't see anything. Ah, there we go. All right, so let's see. You put the coupler in there, and then I designed in that's the pin for the coupler, and it goes right into. Of course, it doesn't cooperate right away. When it's on the model, it cooperates pretty good. So there we go. So the pin fits down into a pocket, and then you just screw that down into it. Oop, got to get the pin through the coupler. And then there's a little tab that fits into the draft gearbox there, and there you got it. So that is basically what you see here. That's the front, and the same thing for the back. The back, and it all works exactly like the Stewart one. So you got the clip, and it works the same way. So you got the same pin and the screw that goes in there, and then that just slides right up in there and snaps in. So this one's built just like the Stewart one. It's got the light tube hole in it and all that stuff, so that the light tube can go through there like that. I don't know if I'll use this light tube, but I put it there just in case I wanted to. So that's the part that I made for this that I really like. I think it turned out really well. Inside of here, there's a little hole right in here to drill out, so that for the train line hose to come out of and such. So that's basically the way it goes. So like to do the front real quick, let me get this off of here. So to do the front, we would snap the shell on. Right now I don't have the snaps in there. So you'd snap the shell on basically. You'd put the coupler in there. You would drop the pin. Over into the coupler. And then just screw it down, and it's all in there just fine. So that's the part that I did that I think is pretty cool. So I got that for the front, and then of course for the back there. So I like that. I think it'll work just fine. And then I got my shop trucks here for that. So that's the part I was excited to show you about. And then the way that these are going to be, let me pull this B unit over here. Oh, this one has everything in it. I was going to put a big speaker back here. So that's why you see this frame cut like that. Otherwise this frame would come out this way a little bit more. Just like I've got one I can show you. So this is what the frame would look like if it wasn't cut. Actually, it's a little bit different up here. No, it's the same. It's the same because I cut up here also. You can see this, the front here is a little bit lower than this because I was going to put another speaker right up here. But I'm not going to do that. See, on the B unit I could do that, but I'm not going to. So the way it's going to work, so this is, these are the A unit frames, this frame and the other one are full frames uncut and such. So that's what you see. That's what those will be like. But I didn't cut so much weight out of it that it's going to affect the B unit. So these things are still pretty heavy. So the way it's going to go is, this is the Kato motor that goes in there. And what I do is I trim down the screws, and I made this plate here that fits over these here. And actually you have to cut these down. I made a tool. I have to get it out. I don't have it with me right now, but I'll show you when I do all the motor work. I have a tool that fits over this motor that I can use to slice off these standoffs, to slice them, you know, reduce the height of the standoffs. So then this plate has this pattern in it that fits over the shape of the standoff. So then I can screw that down to the top of the motor, and you can see how it's just barely off the top of the motor. And then I can take a buddy board and screw that right down to that, put the decoder on it, and that's good to go. So then that would fit. Let's see, what's the front? That's the front right there. So that would fit in there like that. And then the buddy board will go there like that. And then this is the speaker enclosure that I'll be using. This thing produces some phenomenal sound. I love it. I've talked about it before in my videos, but I stumbled onto something good with that. So I'll use this. I got some new speakers from DigiKey. They put out 850 hertz. They're 8 ohm speakers, so I'll put 2 of them in here. And hopefully I can get a little bit more sound range out of them. Typically the speakers that I've been using, I think, are around 400 hertz or something like that. Not exactly sure, but I think that's what it is. But I've got 2 holes drilled back here. I have the same done on these, except without the frame cut down. And this can sit right here. I can trim the back off, and that'll sit right there. On these ones, it'll sit just up a little bit higher, but it'll be fine. So that'll sit like that. And then on the A units, I'll have the I'll see if I can't fit in. This is an Athearn interior, so I'll have to either cut these pins off the back here and then set it flat, or drill holes for the pins and set it flat and then put screws in there. I don't know exactly which way I'd go, but I'll see if that will fit. And it's possible, I'm not sure, I haven't tried it yet, but it's possible that I can put a Keep Alive right up here, make a bracket to snap the Keep Alive. Now if that doesn't work, I've got an alternative plan for the Keep Alive that actually does work. I'll show you. Let me pull this off. On the bottom of the tank, I've milled out a pocket that the Keep Alive fits into. The wires will go up here, through this hole, up the frame, and then the Keep Alive circuit board will sit right here. So that's an alternative if I can't get it to fit up front here. But I'll go, you know, I'll investigate all that. That's my plan of thinking. So I'll investigate all that when it's time. So all right, so that's basically the start of the F-unit project. I've got, you know, everything in its, the truck side frames are all in the baggies. The trucks that they're on right now are old GP7 trucks, except for one of them. And they have the brake cylinders molded on and the swing hangers and all that stuff. But I've got all the good truck side frames and everything here. I'll be adding different journal boxes. I've got to kit all this, you know, with detail parts and such. You saw I have the ABA set of Highliner shells here with all the parts in it. I've got the glass for the Stewart shells to lock them in place, and the drive parts, wheels, and I've got the coders in the drawer. I've got Keep Alives in the drawer. I've got the motors here. It's just basically, first step will be to work on the trucks, get the motors all set up, get the sound system all set up, and from there, you know, just work up into the shell. Now, one of the decisions I had to make was, do I go with de-skirted F-units or keep the skirts on them? And I really like the look of with the skirts on, even though majority of railroads de-skirted their F-units. There are examples of railroads that did not, and the one that comes to mind the most is the Bangor and Rostock. And I like the look of that. And so I'm going to keep the skirts. I just enjoy the look of the skirts. So I hope you'll follow along with me. I'm going to probably get started on the trucks in the next video. I always start with the trucks and then move up. So it'll be the trucks, then I get the frames all set up, and the motor in, and get the soundboard, you know, the DCC decoders in, soundboards in, get the speakers in, and all that stuff, and then move on to building the model. So actually, I will be getting to some weathering a bit on this model before I finish the gondolas, but it's the trucks. I'll get the trucks weathered and stuff like that as I work on them. So I hope you'll follow along with me. I think it'll be an enjoyable build, and I just need to get some Copper State Railway units under my belt and something to run with at the November train show in Raleigh. So hopefully I can get these done before then.